Hi guys, it's Sean from Indonesia. In today's video, oh my god, I sounded like I farted, but I was just leaning in to my pleather chair. But yeah, so it's Sean from Indonesia, and I think today I'm going to talk about something that's super important to, I think, me, to the civilization, to people. But I'm going to offend a lot of people in this episode. Not by on purpose, obviously, but I just want to share my view, and you guys are more than welcome to disagree with me. But I'm going to be talking about religion. So I want to put a disclaimer out there that I am an atheist. Atheist is basically someone who do not believe in religion, and agnostic is a level below atheist, where agnostic do believe in some kind of spiritual or some kind of religion, but they just didn't want to choose. And then of course you have your chain of different religious beliefs, right? So atheist is like maybe the most extreme version, where I really believe that religion is it doesn't exist, and I believe in science and math, and that's where I am, and I'm going to tell you why. And I'm not going to make you conform to my belief. You don't. I respect your views, I respect your beliefs. And I think I need to put it out there first in the beginning of this video that I believe that religion is something that was, well, I said created, but it was created out of the necessity to keep harmony and balance, and to keep people's lives meaningful. And it's really brought a lot of meaning to people, brought a lot of joy, security, comfort. So there's a lot to thank about different religious beliefs. But for me, there's a reason why I don't believe in religion, and that is one simple answer: art history. So I, was always questioning religion. I, at some point, thought I was going to be a Christian or whatever. And then I went to school in the United States, and I had to take art history 3 times. So, one time I had to do it in my Tacoma college, and then when I moved to Florida, it was I don't know, I forgot the system, the college system there, but it was one of the requirements that you have to take. So somehow I had to take it again in Florida, and one more time in New York, but that was under a fashion point of view, because I was in fashion school. So we went to the Met Museum a lot, where we studied not only the art, how art influenced fashion, because I was studying the history of fashion, Egyptian fashion and all that. So from art history, I actually learned that from early cave paintings to early tombstones, I understood the formation of religion, that it started with the figment of our imagination. With every religion, the early religion always worshipped the sun. That is the first thing, that the sun and the stars, right? That is the thing that they're trying to understand. They're trying to understand their world, and they're trying to tell stories, invent stories about what's happening in their world, and what is their meaning here on earth. So religion got more and more complicated, more myths, more, of course, influenced by culture, by political systems and economy and things like that. So this is why we have a lot of religion that we do now, because actually they all evolved from something. You can actually draw a chart to see where religion comes from. But if you look at Christianity, it borrowed a lot of the lore and mythology from the Greek, and things like that. So that's my number one core. I believe that religion is man-made, and it was created out of necessity, out of just sometimes even pure creativity. It's quite wonderful, and religion has enabled a lot of rule of law that we have enjoyed, and also religion has sparked a lot of art, cultural movements that are beautiful. A lot of architecture. If you're an architect, you will know that architecture was formed on the basis of people wanting to build bigger and bigger buildings, and those buildings are usually religious institutions. Like your temple, Angkor Wat is one example. It is so beautiful. Please look up the history of Angkor Wat, because what is remaining now there is just a tiny fragment of what actually was, what their civilization was. Please do look up the documentary on Angkor Wat. That civilization it should be, in fact, the pride of Asians or even humanity. I don't want to politicize or racialize things, but it is a feat in architecture and also in culture of humanity. It shows determination through the just the beautiful buildings that they had at the time. Even today, when I look at our our art, our buildings, we kind of lost our way. We've lost that sense of meaning to our buildings and that workmanship, the detailing and things like that. So I think I digress a bit, but yeah, a lot of beautiful art has come out of religion. So yeah, my core belief is that religion is man-made. Feel free to disagree with me. A lot of religion do have an origin story. Okay, I think I also need to mention that, by the way, what I'm saying in this video may not be really good for me, only because in Indonesia, I believe there's 5, if I'm not wrong, 5 organized religion that is recognized here. And in our commandments, very similar to the US commandments, right? I think we have 5. The number 1 is that it says that God is almighty, that religion rules us all. So in Indonesia, where I live here, atheism is not a choice. So yeah, I hope I don't get in trouble, but I was trying to fill out my driver's license, my ID and stuff, and there was just this multiple choice: Buddhist, Hinduism, I think, Christianity, Muslim, and one more. I can't remember, but you had to take one. So I was there with the guy, filling in the form. I was like, oh wait, I don't have a religion. He says, you must. And then I was like, yeah, I really don't know. And then he just told me, what are your parents? I was like, Buddhist. So they're like, yeah, so just put Buddhist. So yeah, I basically put Buddhist in there. But yeah, it is interesting that atheism isn't accepted here and also in many parts of the world, but especially in Indonesia, because I used to live in China where they didn't question. Chinese people there in China, they don't even have any, well, they probably abolished religion back in the communist time. My goodness, I'm getting very political. I hope I don't offend too many people. And I don't mean to, but I'm just saying, I could be wrong. But communism, they basically burnt all the Buddhist and Confucianism. Oh, I do need to talk about Buddhism in a bit. But yeah, what was I getting at? Hang on. So yeah, in Indonesia, it is required to have a religion. When I told people I'm atheist, the first thing that they think about it is like, so where do you get your morality from? So how they think I'm a piece of shit, or they think I'm going to be like a criminal or a rapist or something because I don't have a religion. That is how the mindset of the general Indonesian population. I promise you that is how, that is my experience here. That is how people question me. It doesn't matter what religion background they are, but the minute they find that I am atheist, they immediately put me aside and question my humanity. And just so you know, all my friends, literally, even like, I don't know, I don't want to offend, again, I don't want to offend people, but like I have like really, really smart friends who are very, very well achieved and things like that. But literally all my friends have religion, Christianity, or they would consider them Buddhist or whatever. Everybody would have something here in Indonesia. But again, back in New York, back in China, religion was not even something we would discuss. Like nobody believed in anything and people respected everybody. But here, people would question me. And again, I would see these smart friends who are like, they work really hard. They are very, very talented. And then when they achieve something, they would post on their Instagram story like, oh, thank goodness, thank the Lord, I was like, give yourself some freaking credit. You did the work, So again, I'm going to offend people when I say this, but that kind of thing does tick me a little bit when people accredit God to a lot of the things that are happening around us. So religion, again, generally is good, but I think you need to find, again, I don't want to tell people okay, sorry, I take it back. People should define their own relationship with their religion and their gods at different levels. Some people do want to go all the way in, and honestly, that's actually okay by me. But I just wanted to say that it just ticks me when people go all the way out, and they lose all kinds of reasoning. And, in fact, I would say some of them even lost some of their humanity along the way. And, as you can see now, there are a lot of terrorism, a lot of radicalism. and I don't mean just one religion. I think we know what religion we're talking about. But radicalism is something that is, I'm not going to discuss here. It's too controversial. But it is when people has really misinterpreted what used to be, or what is currently a very peaceful religion. So it can be twisted and skewed. So just be careful. I mean, especially if they're politicized. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm all for separating religion and state, which is what one of the U.S. commandments, if I'm not wrong. Is it? I don't know. I could be wrong, but there should be a separation. Religion should not be in politics, and we should never persecute minorities because there are a wide variety of religion out there. You are literally born into your religion. If you're born in Indonesia, we are the number one. We're the most populous Muslim population in the world. Surprise, right? And if you were born here, there's 85% of the population here are Muslims. So you're born into your religion. If you were born in India instead, you would have been a Hindu. So there's a famous comedian, I can't remember his name. When somebody asked him, oh, you don't believe in Christianity? How can you? Well, he fired to the person back, well, you don't believe in like the, couple hundred religions, because there are actually many other religions out there, So, there are a lot of religions out there in the world. And when you believe in one, you're disbelieving in everybody else, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, we just have to learn to live with each other. And people should have the right to exercise their beliefs as long as they're not harming anybody. But as I talk now, I just remembered that I wanted to talk a little bit of Buddhism. So what's really interesting about Southeast Asian Buddhism here, and I'm talking about in Indonesia here, but also Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, maybe even the Philippines, I'm not sure. Because we had a lot of immigrants that came in from China. And just so you know, Buddhism did not come from China. But we had a lot of immigrants coming from China, and dominantly the Chinese population in these Southeast Asian cities are Buddhists, so they call themselves. But actually, the Buddhism here in Southeast Asia are actually a combination of the Buddhism from Hindu, which is actually more like a philosophy. I really actually love that story. I mean, the experience of Buddhism, finding nirvana, finding peace, and letting go of earthly desires to find ultimate happiness. Beautiful philosophy. I wouldn't even call it a religion, but I would call it a philosophy. So it is a combination of that Indian Buddhist teaching and a combination of Taoism. Taoism is like your God, your God of hell, your God. You see the statues, the fat Buddha. In Chinese, the Guan Yin, the old lady. So these are all Taoism. And when you burn money and all that to offer, you burn your incense, that's Taoism. And then the third thing is Confucianism. And that is more like an ancestral worship. Confucius is a famous philosopher in China. Keep in mind, I said philosopher. I did not say that he was a prophet or a religious being. But the Buddhism, in general, when we mention Buddhism here in Southeast Asia, which is a lot of geographical position, a lot of cities, a lot of countries, surprisingly, it's a culmination of those three, Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism. It's just merged and into one culture, into one melting pot, and it's unique to its own. And that is the culture that I was actually born into. So my parents, taught us that way. They made us pray to our grandparents. And this year I was being a rebel because every year, I would live in my dad's home. During Chinese New Year, he would make us pray. And it's the thing that I really dread most. Like, I have to come down, burn an incense and pretend, to care. And then, I would, put the incense there and then just go about my thing. It's a small gesture, but it did bother me only because I was forced into it. I did not believe that it was going to do anything. And this year, my dad asked me to come, but thanks to COVID, I have an excuse, and I live here in my own home now, away from them. So I did not do my offering this year, but that is something that we Chinese people here do traditionally, and I believe it's a beautiful tradition. By any means, go for it. But I believe I have the right to say I'm not comfortable with it. I don't conform to these ideas, and I rather not. But this is not something that I can say to my parents, Asian parents. We can't. In fact, I think one time it was so bad. my dad, we were in a car, and he was like, we have I have a grandma, which is his mother, who is buried in a plot of land. So when Chinese people here, when we pass away, we do have a choice of either being cremated, in which case our ashes would just be scattered. Sometimes they would put it in those urns, and people would pray for them, or sometimes the urns would be put at temples and you would just pay monthly maintenance fee to the temples. Or some of us would actually bury our dead in cemeteries, and then we would have to come every Qingmingjie, which is I don't know what's the English word for it. It's a day in the year where everybody comes and cleans the graves of their ancestors. I think you might have seen this in like Chinese shows or stuff, but if you're a Westerner. But we've always had to do that. And I think I did that once. It ruins it for me because you have to be gone the whole day. You have to go up to the mountains, go up there and meet with family that, I don't know if they're watching this, but they probably are. But I don't mind hanging out with my family if they miss me. Extended family. If they wanted to reach out to me, by the way, if you're watching this, I care for all of you individually. Feel free to catch up with me. But if I'm forced into a cultural situation like Chinese New Year or Qingmingjie, where I'm forced to meet you guys, I'm gonna be a bit snarky, because I don't want to see a lot of people at once and everyone's just, hey, how are you? Like they're gossiping about each other, and usually the elder people in the family, they're going to be talking about health issues, like, oh, somebody fell down and broke their leg. Oh, which doctors are they going to see? Or who's diabetic? And I was like, oh my God, that kind of conversation, I cannot. So yeah, I don't like those traditional Chinese cultural gatherings. Please count me out. If I don't know, I cannot say that to my parents. But anyway, sorry, I was talking about my story with me and my dad, where I was actually overstepped a little bit, where we were coming home, I think from one of these trips at Qingmingjie. My dad he actually expects me, he naively expects me to continue this on after they have passed away, to continue going to my grandma's place and continue to put incense every Chinese New Year. Oh my God. I think, through my actions and all that, he should have actually read into it that I don't believe in it and I'm not into it. But I think he assumed. So I don't know how deep the assumption went until he did say, his siblings were considering moving, my grandma's plot, my grandma's body, and maybe to just incinerate it or something, or just do something about it, because no one would be able to care for it. So after he said it, I was like, yeah, go for it. Just do it. And then he got mad at me. I think he was testing me or something, but he got mad at me. He's like, no, you should not disrespect her. I was like, well, here's what I thought. Like, this is your mother. Something that I did not say to him, right? But it is your responsibility. I would, obviously try to be responsible with my parents someday, but it is your mother, and if nobody is going to be able to care for her at some point, you really need to take care of it now, right? So that was how I was thinking. I wasn't trying to be mean or anything. That's what I meant, is that do take care of her now, whatever you need to do, because no one, that's the thing. That's another question, right? All the people who's died before us, their cemeteries, after 3 generations down, no one's gonna know, your great-great-great-great-grandparents' burial grounds or your history, right? So that is pretty much lost and forgotten. So I don't know, really, what is the point of that then, of ancestral worship, when it's just gonna be washed away? It's just gonna be gone anyways. Everything is actually like just a temporary thing. And by the way, what is that show? That Pixar show that was so beautiful. It was the setting is in Mexico. I'm going to insert the name on the screen of the show. It's a musical. It's so beautiful. They showed the afterlife, and they showed that people who turned to ghosts, if people forgot about them, their ghosts would also disappear. That movie was so beautifully done, visually, musically, but the idea, the concept of being remembered. And I think the main song was Remember Me, I think. Coco! That's the name of the show, Coco, I think. My goodness, that brought me to tears. Honestly, these cultural things, and it's not my culture. Like, of course, it was set in Mexico, and I do love observing how different cultures observe, their ancestral worship or towards religion, and those movements, they move me. I find them beautiful. This is why I love observing these things. But again, this is in contradiction to myself. Like, again, if I'm forced to do these things, then I am not going to enjoy it or respect it. But yeah, I just want to say that, I guess, that there's a beauty in it. But at some point, we have to consider that our ancestors, even us, one day when we pass away, our children's going to remember us. Our children's children's going to remember us, but we're pretty much going to be forgotten. Unless, of course, we're like Albert Einstein or Hitler or something. I don't know. I guess people remember us more or longer. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my philosophy on life. But again, all my videos, I'm going to talk about it in another episode. But I am, because it is the thesis of my channel, actually. I have something to share about our reason of being here and our legacy, and things like that. Something that yeah, I'm going to talk about that another time. It's going to be such an important episode. But yeah, I do have a lot of motivation. I do have a lot of love, and I do have a lot of compassion for people, but those did not come from religion. And I do observe other people's practices, and I find beauty in everything. I do hope that the world can have this kind of same view as me in terms of respecting each other, knowing each other's boundaries. I would not eat pork in front of my Muslim friends. And I would just be a little bit more mindful too around people of different ethnicities, right? Or different cultural backgrounds. So this is something that we need to observe and accept. Diversity is great, but I also want to stress that sometimes, these times, oh my God, this video is going to be super long. It's already 20 minutes long. Please bear with me. Sometimes religion can get in the way of things. And that is one thing that I may sometimes also disagree. If like human progress, like scientists are finding cures and things like that, and sometimes sometimes religion gets in the way of that. Like, for example, during the Dark Ages, my goodness, because if you look at the human history and human progress, like technology does grow, upwards over time. And then in the Dark Ages, when I don't really want to tell you what happened. You feel free to Google that yourself. But my goodness, technology and culture and everything, it went downwards for a very long period of time. And then it blipped, it jumped up. And now our technology is going exponentially, higher. But if we didn't have that blip, we may have had, a lot of the technology earlier on, a lot of the, better healthcare, better entertainment, better quality of life could have come a lot earlier. But of course, I don't want to say science is everything. Science can cause questionable ethics, like cloning. And again, when we talk about vaccines and things like that, that's great. It saves lives. But I also want to put it out there that we don't really know the full extent as well of the medications and vaccines. But in general, it does improve the quality of life in the general population setting. But yeah, I digress too much. So yeah, religion sometimes, like people, let's say, are trying to celebrate, love for each other and things. And sometimes religion can actually, in fact, put that down. Sometimes religion instill fear, instill judgment on minorities, and it can, get in the way of other people's happiness. And I highly disagree with that. And for those of you who are religious who are watching this, I think you should know what's happening also, of course, in some of the religious communities where, again, there are a lot of minorities that are being discriminated against for their, for their political, for their gender identity, for many, many things, for even for other religions, just disrespecting other religions or disrespecting atheists. Cut it out. we can live without it, right? I think there's enough room in this world to coexist. If you're a Christian, there's going to be, you have your online platforms, you have communities, you have things that you can actually enjoy and celebrate, who you are. But you have to also let other people do the same. It's only fair. So yeah, that is my thought on religion, on atheism. I don't know if I have anything else to add. For now, I think that's it. But maybe in the future video, hear me talk more about it, because I do believe I have a different point of view in terms of religion, religious diversity, humanity, morality, and things like that. So I will leave you at that, and see you in the next one. Bye.